Want to see a cool new trick? Watch me split my brain in two reviewing The Strings, a new ghostly horror film that popped up on Shudder last week. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. The Strings is new streaming exclusively on Shudder. It's directed by Ryan Glover and written by Ryan Glover and Krista Dzialoszynski or something. Struggling with her personal life, and most likely a skosh of alcoholism and seasonal affect disorder, musician Catherine, played by Tegan Johnson, holes up in a remote cabin in the country in the middle of winter in hopes to avoid distraction and focus on developing her next album. Grace, played by Anna Schaefer, a photographer and possible love interest, joins Catherine for a photo shoot at an old farmhouse with a dark history. After the shoot, that darkness seems to have followed Catherine home. I'm of two minds on The Strings. One side can appreciate the slow pace, monotonous tones, thick atmosphere, and palpable dread all associated with the arduous journey the lead takes in her creative process. The other side was bored as fuck and got dizzy rolling my eyes at the pretentiousness of the lead. Both are valid arguments, and I can see the audience split when they watch The Strings, as I feel it will appeal to the artists in the audience, as well as the older, more patient crowd, but literal-minded thinkers and youngsters, I'll stay away from the dreaded millennial word, but this film is sopping with self-righteousness, youngsters may not be keen on it so well. There are long, and I mean long, stretches of footage of Catherine silently lounging on the couch, sleeping, taking swigs of alcohol, smoking, writing in her journal, talking on Skype, avoiding calls, walking on the beach, and staring at the wall. There are also a few interesting stretches where the audience is given witness to Catherine developing an entire song on multiple keyboards, drum machines, and microphones. I understand in order for those musical composition scenes to take place, the monotonous time thinking is necessary. But The Strings spends too much time on the early process and too little on Catherine's actual doing of the music. Maybe some scenes focusing on the tech Catherine was using or the development of certain sounds would have punched up that first 40 minutes of The Strings, so they just weren't so monotonous. While the lyrics are a bit high school angsty, the music is actually pretty fascinating to watch come together. The whole issue is that the movie thinks that Catherine is an interesting character to follow, and that the audience will be there watching her do anything. Unfortunately, she's not. With every sentence littered with constant vocal fry and smoke between her teeth, her hair carefully cut to look unkempt, and an all-consuming hobby of laying on her ass, Catherine shows us she lacks the work ethic to actually produce, churning out one already written song by the end, reflecting on the tragic moments that occur during the climax. Though the wait is pretty painful, The Strings does manage to capture those moments of dread that one feels late at night, when you're alone and you might have heard a noise in that dark corner. There are a few scenes that Catherine thinks she witnesses something in the dark that would have had me packing immediately, yet for some reason she stays. The bleak winter landscape adds to the tone and mood exponentially. It makes me shiver just looking at the half-frozen beaches and drab mix of mud and snow covering all surfaces. These scenes are effective, as are the scenes in the last 40 minutes where the shadowy man shows up in and all around the home, closer and closer to Catherine. The climax is as subdued as the rest of the film, and the real action only occurs for a few minutes, but it serves as a strong punctuation and one that didn't fail to deliver a well-deserved emotional punch after enduring the extensively long lead up to it. So while The Strings chipped away at my patience and made me quite annoyed with the pretentious protagonist, there's one scene where we're shown Catherine watching YouTube videos about string theory, and then later in the interview she mentions that she's really into physics lately. that rang as tellingly hollow and exemplary of the millennial version of studying up as I can imagine. I wish there would have been more interaction with the musical construction, some more interactions between the lead characters, and I don't know, maybe a little bit more horror in the supposed horror story in the first 40 minutes. Still, the string has its atmospheric moments, some solid night terrors, and the musical score and some of the stuff Catherine charts out on her keyboard are pretty solid. I know this isn't a strong recommend, but I don't know. It is what it is. Or something. That'll be it for today. Please chime in down below in the comments and let me know how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own review. So guys, you know how YouTube works. I'd love to be able to dedicate more time to this channel. I'm not monetized yet, so if you want to help me out, remember to hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below. Want some spooky comics to read? I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. Both Gravetrancers and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, can be found in only the finest of comic book shops. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on my website, mlmillerwrites.com. If you really want to show your support, I also have a Patreon page at mlmiller. Look for the link to my Patreon page down below. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that